the way some people you'll be in an area and the street next to you has electricity, but not your street. And also, how do you you went through the list of how you prioritize restorations, but can you drill down a little bit more at the lower end as to how do you prioritize, for example, household or residential restorations, because that has been unclear to some people.
Yeah, thanks for that question. Actually, it was asked earlier, and I think I missed the answer to that one. Before I answer that, though, I just wanted to correct something. I think I mentioned in terms of the design category of hurricane design for most of the designs are category 3 that we have, or buildings and so on, are designed for category 3. There may be some plants, I think like the newer solar plant, we would have done some strengthening following the experiences in other islands that bring that closer to category 5. And as I mentioned, there would be studies that we do from time to time on storm surges and so on. In terms of the restoration sequence and priorities, when we restore a feeder or a main artery, what generally happens is you're closing a switch at the substation, which energizes that main artery, as well as the lines coming off of that artery to customers. When you switch that on, anyone who doesn't have a pre-existing fault along that feeder will immediately see their lights back on. But along those feeders, there's additional protective devices, primarily fuses, that will blow if during the event, the hurricane, the storm, branches or some sort of debris came across the line on your street. The fault from compromising the entire network or the rest of the feeder. And so during a storm, what quite often happens is there's debris flying around, hitting lines, and when that happens, fuses blow along the route. And so when we start to restore, we may be very, very far away from the actual village or neighborhood or street when we reclose, and some persons along that route will see power because they didn't have a pre-existing fault, and others may not see it because there's a fuse or a number of fuses that have blown, and the faults may actually still exist on the line. So it's not just a matter of going and immediately reclosing those fuses, because you need to do a full inspection, clear whatever caused the fuse to blow in the first place, make it safe, then do whatever repairs are necessary, and then making it safe to reclose that or reestablish that link. In some instances, the fault itself may have cleared itself, so you may not actually see anything on the line anymore. It may have struck and then blown away, and it's a simple matter of us just closing back the fuse. In other cases, there's work that may need to be done. But in all cases, we need to do a full inspection. So when the restoration is going on, we would do those closing the main feeders. We will what we call inspect the line or run the line to see what we find along the main routes. And we will try to close up along the line in a way that gives us the majority of the customers, that brings the majority of the customers back on. When we do that, as you would see across the island in some areas, there still will be some places or some streets where lights are off because there's a fuse or some other challenge or issue that needs to be resolved. But what we're trying to do in the restoration is we're trying to get as many people as we can back on as quickly as possible with the resources that we have. And so we would do some closing, and then we will dispatch that crew to the next place where you can bring on hundreds rather than maybe dozens of customers for that same resource. So that's why in the first instance you'll see some places where one street is on and the other street is off, because there's some fault on that street that needs to be addressed. And the reason why we may not get back there immediately is because we're on another street somewhere or neighborhood where we were restoring hundreds of customers with the same crew. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we wrap up, I just want to thank the Drainage Division in the Ministry of Public Works, and for a particular reason. A lot of people asked, how come it was that we didn't see a lot of flooding with the passage of this system. Just prior to the passage of the system, the morning before, we gave the final instructions to the key agencies. Drainage has already been doing a program with retention ponds and detention ponds and channeling the water to where it needs to go, and that was shown at the passage system to have borne fruit, because many areas that we would have expected to have flooded with the amount of rain that we got did not. And in many cases, it was due to the sterling work done by the drainage division and those other people that you saw taken on to do that. So even like the ash workers that were taken off following the volcanic eruption were out in full force, clearing drains, clearing the fronts of wells, clearing waterways. And also, I want to thank Barbadians as well, who took this quite seriously. We made an appeal for Bajans to clear up around their houses, and many people, in fact, did do that. We asked people, sanitation went out in full force the day to do a garbage collection for pretty much the entire of Barbados on that one day, and persons did heed the call to take in their garbage. And so a lot of things that would have normally been blowing around or would have been on the streets, Barbadians really did actually heed the call where this one was concerned. I want to as well thank Mr. Bess. Barry asked him some very challenging questions, but I'll say this. We were on the ground. The bulk of the people that you see here from the EOC were here during the storm. And we kept making the point to Barbadians to please monitor the official government channels, monitor our media partners, because things are subject to change at very, very short notice. When the Met Office or when we issue the information, we can only issue the information based on what is in front of us at the time. Many times during the course of the night, the storm threatened to fall apart. When the storm was coming towards Barbados at a number of points, it threatened to separate into two, which would have significantly weakened the storm. But every time that happened, the storm came back together again. So with the best model in the world, it is simply modeling, and nature will do what nature does, which is why it is so important in this time to keep monitoring the official channels and keep up to date. That way you know what is going on. In this particular instance, we hid nothing from anybody. Barbados got its information in real time as things developed on the satellite imagery. Met fed to the EOC, and we fed to Barbados. So everything you got was maybe 2 or 3 minutes after it was that we got it as well. So I want to thank and congratulate Sabu and the hardworking team at the Met Services who went over and above with this. And I'm going to ask you, Sabu, just keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. So having said all of that, I want finally, in my wrap up, to thank the hard-working team at the NEOC. There's some people who went home, I believe, yesterday afternoon for the first time since this event happened. Everybody's reporting for work. A number of persons in this room have had damage to their own property, and they're still without electricity, in some cases water, but they've reported faithfully here to be able to take the information, to be able to channel the resources, to be able to get assistance to you, the public of Barbados, to be able to help our most vulnerable persons, because this is what it's all about. The storm has passed. The storm has passed. The cleanup is now ongoing. And involved in that cleanup is an assessment of exactly where we are and what resources are needed to try to put Barbados back on some footing. And also critical in that assessment is what are the needs of the persons who were most impacted, and how can we as a government best help you to try to get yourself back on your feet. A roof over your head right now is a critical thing. So all those who are without assistance or still in need of assistance, you know the information to call. Kerry gave it earlier, but we're going to keep pushing it out through social media. Please contact us if you are in need. You do not have to suffer alone. We are walking this journey with you. It is not an easy thing. This has not happened in many years. This level of destruction has not been seen since, I believe, Hurricane Janet, and that was before I was born. So this is a new thing for most Barbadians. We have to be our brother's keeper at this point in time. Reach out a hand and help somebody who is near you. Some of you have neighbors staying with you. Just do your best. It can't be simple. Just do your best and remember that today for me, tomorrow for you. At some point in time, you may need that same neighbor that you're helping now. So we will come back as needs be to give updates, or we will circulate them through press statements if that would be sufficient to disseminate the information. Its feet. An admirable job has been done so far. A lot has been done, but there's still a lot more to be done. And I'm asking Barbadians to be patient. Just be patient and bear with all who are working, trying to assist you. Lieutenant Paul has taken some stick. Mr. Blackman has been here and he has answered all the questions that were posed to him. And I have spoken to the comms persons from Lieutenant Paul and asked them just to please reach out a lot more often so people are aware of what is going on, and they've committed to doing that. So, you know, it is a process. It is a process. But we are on the way and we're trying to get things back to normal as quickly as possible. So, Barbados, if you were affected, we feel you. We feel you. We're trying to do our best for you. For the rest, just bear with us and be safe. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.